Hey guys, Taro here bringing you some more OCF catch-up coverage. Today we have a match round 2 of the winners bracket between Paul.a.D and Luvnest. Paul beating DevM in the first round, so he's here in the second round, and Luvnest was one of the invited players, so he hasn't actually played in the tournament yet. So we'll have to see if Paul's battle-hardened resolve is enough to triumph over Luvnest's fresh mind. So straight away we see Paul playing as Soviets, locking an armoured assault. He's played that a lot this tournament. And Luvnest has gone for Ostroupen, which is an interesting choice. Maybe this is a strategy he has for Arnhem checkpoint, which is the map we are on. Typically Axis have a bit of trouble on this map. It's quite hard to keep hold of your cutoff. And you can have a bit more trouble in the central garrison area. So maybe Luvnest is planning to, with his double pioneers, get double flamers so he can easily clear out these center garrisons and use these Ostroupen as inexpensive squads to keep hold of these garrisons and get some really good map control and have a strong early game. Help keep hold of these cutoffs, which are so tricky to hold on to. So we see Luvnest actually putting some pressure on Paul's cutoff. That's, well, usually this would be the munitions point that Paul would hold on to, but he hasn't quite got around to capping that yet. Now these Ostroupen actually taking quite a lot of damage here. Conscripts trying to cap, but they're not actually in heavy cover here, so they're actually losing to these Ostroupen. More Ostroupen flooding into the city. This is a few squads, 3 squads Ostroupen, 2 pioneers. 2 pioneers are currently doing the capping. They're not much use in these engagements until they get their flamethrowers, so they're just sitting them out right now. He's actually going for a very early telemine instead of a flamethrower. Very surprised to see that. I mean, I think planting a telemine this early is a bit of a mistake. You may end up catching your opponent's M3 scout car, which is only really just worth the munitions for a telemine. I think it would be a better choice to get a flamethrower to try and clear these garrisons, but we'll have to see if that pays off. Also, planting telemine this early just increases the risks it's going to be swept at some point, so few things to think about there for Luvnest. Paul, after capping this point, now rotating to the north, and there are no windows out of this side of the garrison, so there's Ostroupen in the garrison. Now powerless to stop Paul from making that cap. And already Luvnest has got some harassment down onto Paul's cutoff there. Those pioneers planting their mine. Ostroupen now rotating to put pressure on these conscripts, which have now cut off Luvnest, so both players exchanging cutoffs. As I was saying, they are very hard to hold on to, especially this one up here. This one has no heavy cover on the defending player's side, so very hard to defend that cutoff, whereas at least this one you can take cover behind this, you know, these walls and these garrisons. Which I think that's a slightly superior side to defend. So nice merge there from Paul, and I've seen this is a strategy that Paul's actually quite fond of, merging into his flamers to try to keep them onto the field as long as he can. It's a good strategy, especially if you're having to fight against heavy garrison play, which is the case on this particular map. Whoa, he runs into a few S-mines there. Always seems they're wiping that conscript squad. It definitely shuts down that harassment of the VPs, and you can actually see that Luvnest is off to a great start in terms of VPs. 441 for Paul to Luvnest 497. He's got excellent map control right now as well. Things are looking pretty good for Luvnest's Ostroupen start. He's got to deal with this flamethrower squad here though. Oh, that first burst. Nasty stuff. Oh, he almost loses the squad there. Flamethrower is so nasty against garrisons at the moment. Now moving to engage these Ostrip, and they're out in negative cover, so they do take reduced damage from flamethrowers, but will take increased damage from their one conscript model in their squad there. Oh, there was a Lone Ranger in that squad, and the rest of the 5 men were trying to catch up. Paul's making a play for this church, but he's taking so much damage on approach, he's just got to have to evacuate and go and reinforce again. And this is really a good start from Luvnest. He's putting pressure on Paul's cutoff. He's putting pressure on Paul's fuel. Paul's in a sticky situation right now. He's going for a Maxim. Interesting choice. Will help him keep hold of territory, I suppose, but perhaps needs to think about a mortar. Snipers, not really on the cards. Not really worth sniping Ostrooper mods. They're quite cheap to reinforce them. They reinforce so quickly, maybe we can't even see it. Honestly, they reinforce about 3 times faster than any other squad. It's kind of crazy.
We are losing a sector. Machine gun ready.
So, Maxim making its way forwards. Ostrooper and Volt to the wrong side of the wall. Will they get suppressed before they vault it again? No, they're going to stick behind their heavy cover. They sniped the gunner as well on their Maxim. Maxim's off to a pretty rough start. Where's that Flamer squad? He needs that here. No, that's back in base. Reinforcing and healing. And whoa, look at that terrible luck there. Somehow, this Maxim behind heavy cover ends up getting suppressed by the M242. Conscripts are on the scene, but Paul does not like to take Molotovs before he gets to gets his light vehicle out, so his T-70 or his quad mount. You will not see Molotovs from Paul before that point. So, no Molotovs for these conscripts. He's going to have to try knock that MG out the old-fashioned way, shooting on its blind spot there. Whoa! Oh, there's a big lag. What was that? Must have been a conscript squad. No, Maxim? No, conscript squad. Yep. Okay, well look at this. Paul's proving me wrong here. Going for Molotovs. He feels that the situation is dire enough right now. He's just got to make a play. He's got to get those Molotovs, otherwise he's just going to have an impossible task trying to push back out again. He's done some nice capping out with this lone squad of combat engineers just doing all this work here on the left. Luvnest has been focusing so diligently on the centre. It's powerless at the moment. Luvnest has put down a lot of S-mines, tellers. He's got a flamethrower, a minesweeper piece. Whoa! Down goes another squad, this time to the S-mine field. I guess Love planted another one there. I think most of that squad went down in the last fight. So it's 2 con squads down for Paul, so he's had to rebuild one. He's got a fresh squad now. Still hasn't teched up yet. So it's some Panzer Grenadiers from Luvnest. Very slight these days, but they do have their 10% reduced reinforcement cost now, so maybe combined with the fuel to munitions transfer, you could chuck some Shreks on them or something else. Maybe just use them as a bit of extra firepower. He's not really, doesn't really have many heavy hitting units right now because of all these Ostroupen. Maxim working on the church slowly but surely. Conscripts taking fire from every side right here. And they're only behind a light cover. They're going to have to retreat.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
And Luvnest has been quite diligent about keeping hold of this cutoff. It's always the first thing he does. He goes for Paul's cutoffs and then he worries about backcapping the other sectors. Just making sure Paul has such small windows in which he's actually gathering resources. So this is a really excellent start for Luvnest here. Ostrup really seemed to be bolstering his early game, and now he's even taking up to tier 2. I wonder if he'll go for, to tier 3, battle phase 2. I wonder if he will go for a medium tank, or if he'll just try save up. Maybe get a Panther or Stern Panzer out, something like that from tier 4. No, it looks like he is retreating that combat engineering squad, so imagine they'll be on construction duties. So it looks like we're going to be seeing some medium tank play here from Luvnest. He's got quite a bit of fuel in the bank. By the time he puts that tech structure up, he should have enough for a Panzer IV. You saw that first burst of that flamethrower of those P-greens behind that heavy cover. They took so much damage. Now Paul is making a push out with this Zis gun, taking care of the bunker. It's a nice play from Paul. Still hasn't spent any of his fuel. I suppose he's thinking maybe if the situation is that bad, he could just go straight for an IS-2. But it looks like he is going to regather control of the left-hand side of the map finally. He's been locked in for a long time.
The enemy is taking our territory.
MG42 here, very low. But Love is quick to react there. Probably shouldn't have even set up there, honestly. Maxim now switching sides.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
Doesn't manage to suppress the Ostroopen before they get behind heavy cover, and now this Maxim in negative cover. Probably going to lose this engagement, but here come the conscripts. And whoa, it looks like these two models here on the outside of the tractor weren't in cover there and ended up getting the rest of their buddies suppressed. This gun has to retreat from the flamethrower, and once again Luvnest is going for Paul's cutoff. He's off to a flying start here. He's putting down a few S-mines as well. I'd be worried that they might set off the Teleminer. Not Love though. He will not be denied. He's really making the most out of those tellers. Paul trying to play a bit of peekaboo into this garrison, but it did work for him, but he was still 2 men behind and he ended up having to disengage. Here comes a Panzer IV for Luvnest. Paul does still have the Zis. Does he have AT grenades? No, not yet. Oh, is that squad? Oh, it goes down on retreat there to the S-mine field. So another squad of conscripts dead for Paul. I think that's 3 squads now. Yeah, and 1 squad of combat engineers. I must have missed that. Things are not looking good for Paul right now. This gun gets off a shot on the P4. 2 shots in fact. I'll have to go back for some repairs. Conscripts did manage to get to that cutoff. Paul is still trying to keep some pressure on Love's resources. But I mean, his resource situation is not looking too flash. Still hasn't teched. I suppose he could tech and go for or a pair of SU-76s, which would do alright against P4, but maybe he's just going to go all the way to 13 command points and try getting IS-2. If that is the case, he probably needs to invest in another Zis gun to try and bridge that gap, because I imagine Luvnest will probably be fielding another medium tank once he gets the required amount of fuel, and one Zis won't be enough. Ostrupen making another play for Paul's cut-off. I feel sorry for Paul. He's been cut off so many times. Now finally investing in a mortar. I was saying he should have done this earlier.
Only 200 points remain. The enemy has cut
But
off a
I suppose better late than never. This gun opens up on the P4 again. That thing's not off to a great start. It's taking a lot of Zis shots, getting this plenty of veterancy
neutralizing a sector.
to V1 already, but it did get that bunker kill as well, so I imagine that accounts for quite a bit of its veterancy right now.
Sector has been cut off.
Oh, and that's Luvnest with the mortar as well, so he's just timing here. Crazy coincidence, Paul and Luvnest both investing in a mortar at pretty much exactly the same time. Conscripts is Ostrupen on the flanks. It looks like Ostrupen are in the lead right now, but Conscripts are very good at close range, and
Are seizing a sector.
Luvnest maybe could have won that engagement there, but decided to disengage anyway. Paul's really feeling the pressure now. Just struggling to hold on to his own sectors. Suffering under a triple cap most of the game. He's under just 150 VP, so even if he does get the IS-2,
We ready to deploy.
he's going to have to take a commanding lead with it. Also, that is one interesting thing to note. We haven't seen any mines from Paul. Let's have quite a bit of munitions in the bank. Luvnest does, of course, have a sweeper squad, but it may be a good idea to get a mine or two down. Especially now that there's a tank on the field that could potentially run over it. So it looks like Luvnest going for a Stug to combo up with his P4.
Enemy forces are securing our territory.
Stug does have very good penetration, great rate of fire, good against tanks, not so good against infantry. Love is investing in a pintle mount. He's got plenty of munitions, so he doesn't have to worry about that.
We have a fresh
They'll make this Stug at least do something to these infantry squads. So after a rubbish start, I don't think it's landed a single shell on that combat engineering squad, which is just stationary there in a very short range. But yes, the Stug should be very good against the eventual IS-2, if we even get that far. Paul is very low on VPs. What's going to take is one good push from Luvnest, and he might be able to hold on to the VPs for the rest of the game if he sets up another triple cap. Oh, okay, so that's what Paul spent his munitions on. He's chucked a demo charge down on this garrison, and on this side of this garrison as well, so
We are
it's a
losing
cheeky little
sector.
surprise there. Nasty. Stug now rotating to the flanks. P4 still receiving repairs. Love only has one pioneering squad, so they've got plenty of things to do between planting mines, sweeping mines, and repairing tanks. Maybe they need another comrade.
Opponents are seizing a sector.
Love has also invested in some Panzerschrecks. Shame we didn't see what... I didn't see what Paul's other doctrines were. I suspect Paul, having not seen anything like shock troops or guards or heavy mortars, and knowing Paul's history from the qualifiers, knows he's most likely up against armoured assault once again.
The enemy is attempting
He's
to
probably
steal our
expecting that
sector.
IS-2. Molotov going into the garrison. Love does jump out, but I think Paul might have thrown that kind of on the door there. So they do take a bit of damage as they exit the vehicle. I mean, the building. Sorry, I only got 5 hours of sleep last night. Strug, now with its pintle mount, actually hitting a squad for a change. Getting its first tiny fraction of experience. Whoa, there we go. It's on the board now. 1 kill. I think he like sniped that model that was in the church tower there. It's pretty impressive stuff. Nice shooting. Oh, this squad's going to get wiped on retreat there. Late retreat from Paul. No, so I think he's really far behind on the wipes. So Luvnest has lost 1 Pioneer squad. And Paul has lost... Okay, you can see Paul for some reason. Paul has lost 4 conscripts and 2 comm engineers. So just a huge advantage for Luvnest, and you can see that reflected in army sizes right now. Love is at 71 to Paul's 47. Love has the triple cap running once again. As I was saying, I don't know if Paul is even going to make it to 13 command points. He's getting so low on VPs, he's under the triple cap again. Looks like he's going to make another push out on the right. He's got 2 Zisses, as I was saying. Necessary now that there are a few mediums on the field. And this has been really good from Luvnest. He continuously puts S-mines on this, and wow, it wipes another squad of conscripts almost immediately. And Paul really just had no idea that those S-mines were there, because he knows that there have been S-mines there all the other times, and maybe those signs are still left over from those other times that there are S-mines there. So he couldn't be sure that there are S-mines there. So he just ends up running over them and losing a squad, and with that he calls GG. So that's a really good strategy on this map from Luvnest. Ostrupen, and I think that might have caught Paul unawares. So stay tuned for game number 2 of round 2 winners bracket OCF main event.